back. It's finally back. Welcome to the 2020 Austrian GP Preview. Following the coronavirus-induced F1 lockdown, F1 returns to race action this weekend at Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix. It almost feels unbelievable, but Formula 1 will finally go back racing this weekend. The 20-driver field will test the limits of the 2020 cars for the first time in Spielberg. The sport could have hardly found a better location for the season to get underway, as the Red Bull Ring, located in Styrian Mountains, is one of the most picturesque circuits on the calendar, providing a spectacular backdrop for the delayed start of the season. The Red Bull Ring is certainly a hard track to get right. The circuit layout of the Red Bull Ring is just 4.318 kilometres long, but it's far from easy to perform a perfect lap. The track packs in a lot into a short lap, with plenty of elevation change, punctuated by fast sweeping turns and a number of heavy braking zones. The biggest difficulty is usually presented by the fact that lap time differences are tiny due to the small circuit, and they need to find just tenths or even hundredths of a second to do well around this track. After resting a bit on the long start finish straight, drivers climb up the hill to arrive at the first corner. The Niki Lauda turn is a tricky one, as drivers have to get the best possible exit, and the longest full throttle selection awaits them, albeit the high exit curves invite them to be too ambitious, and drivers easily make mistakes. The following section is a bit bumpy and curvy, but taking it easily at full throttle. After posting top speeds over 310 kilometres an hour, drivers need to act perfectly as they break down to turn 3. The second sector begins with another full speed section before drivers break into turn 4. The exit of that corner is tricky, as they usually suffer from understeer from the midpoint of turn 4. The next section presents drivers with a different challenge, as turns 6, 7 and 8 are taken at high speed. A perfect balance in the recipe in those three corners. A weak front end of the car see drivers lose everything, and a need for a good lap time. Sector 3 starts with an uphill section before drivers suddenly start to descend for the last two corners of the track. Turn 9, named after Jochen Rindt, is a brutally fast corner with a tricky exit, while the drivers have to demonstrate that their trust in the rear end downforce of their car. The last corner invites drivers to use exit curves as much as they can without leaving the track. Extremely high downforce levels produced by current F1 cars means drivers are at full throttle for more than 2/3 of the lap. The short nature of the Red Bull rings means that DRS is open for more than a third of the lap, the highest percentage all season. When it comes to the tyres, things have changed for this weekend due to the coronavirus pandemic. As per the sporting regulations, teams are allocated with 13 sets of dry weather tyres that are divided into 3 different compounds. Drivers have to pick up at least one set of all compounds, while they are allowed to define the compound of the rest of their sets. However, due to short lead time to the delayed start of the 2020 F1 season, Pirelli will allocate every driver with the same tyre selection: 2 sets of hards, 3 sets of mediums, and 8 sets of softs. F1's new normal. Formula 1 has established a draconic protocol to get the season up and running. The sport has dramatically reduced the number of people to ensure safety and social distancing in order to create a safe atmosphere at Spielberg. The usually vivid paddock will almost be empty. 0 guests will be present in the paddock, compared to the usual 3,000. While top teams usually travel to the race with 130 members, they are now restricted to 80 personnel. 60 broadcast personnel will work at the scene compared to the usual 250, which has been made possible due to F1's plan to operate remote broadcast operations. Moreover, race teams will isolate from each other in non-race critical areas. 2 metre social distancing will be implemented. Teams usually work closely together with Formula 1's tyre supplier Pirelli and their fuel and lubricant suppliers. That will not be the case this time. Pick-up and drop-off points will be established where team members and the suppliers can place the tyres and their oil containers, avoiding close contacts. Team members will need to wear face covering in their garages. Drivers will also wear masks when they climb out of the car. At Spielberg, the organisers have set up more than 6 coronavirus test stations, while every crew member and the team needs to arrive at the track with a negative test result. They will also be tested at the scene. They are expected to get testing twice during the race weekend. A test laboratory has been established near Munich, which will operate 24 hours a day. The capacity is enough to perform 15,000 tests. Some of the key quotes from the paddock in Austria on Thursday were Lewis Hamilton saying, "F1 can drive change when it comes to racism." Charles Leclerc saying it'll be strange racing again, and that he's 99% sure that the Ferrari car will be worse than it was last year. Max Verstappen says he's excited for the start of the F1 season, whereas Lewis Hamilton says it'll be the biggest test he's ever faced, retaining his world title. In practice, Lewis Hamilton led the first session 3.5 tenths of Valtteri Bottas and 6 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. A fairly unremarkable session, really. Most teams just getting used to the car, which is why we did get some odd results, such as Leclerc only being in P10 and Vettel and Albon being outside of the top 10. Verstappen had a spin. That was probably about the main talking point, really. And in free practice too, it was Hamilton leading Bottas again by a comfortable margin. But this time, Sergio Perez was in third, Vettel in fourth, Ricciardo in fifth, and Norris in sixth. Who'd have thought 6 drivers at the front would be from 5 different teams? Just incredible. And then you have Red Bull, who didn't really do a proper lap to that, and you've got a great lineup. And on long run pace, it looked like Racing Point had the edge over Ferrari, with Red Bull being the second fastest team. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. Maybe Ferrari just a leap ahead of Racing Point, but we've got a cracking weekend in store. Finally, my predictions for the Austrian Grand Prix. I'm going to predict the pole, the winner, and the top 3. I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton will take the pole. I think Mercedes will be odds-on favourite for pole. It does seem like they have the quickest car. And I think the engine will be better than the Honda, so that will definitely benefit them. And I think the DAS system, cooling down the tyres, will also come in useful in such a hot place like Austria. So I'm going to say Hamilton for the pole. But as for the win, I can see Max Verstappen getting it. Red Bull are usually mighty around Austria, and I can see them being close to Mercedes all weekend, really, if not beating them. And I just think they have that little bit extra in the race. However, I do think it will be a Mercedes 2-3 with Hamilton second and Bottas third. But I can see these 2 teams having a great battle this weekend, and to be honest, I'm really looking forward to it. And that's it for this video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for the F1 season. Follow us on Twitter for all the latest coverage from the F1 Austrian Grand Prix. And subscribe to my channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching. F1 is finally back. Peace.